And so when you use these sort of strategies in a really ethical way, it comes back to you in a positive way too. So I think that's just something to keep in mind when you read that information.
I mean, there's a point that you made just a couple of minutes ago. You said it's about getting people to know, like, and trust you, and I think that's really, really important. As you say, if you try to game it, if you just try to push the boundaries, you know, people get wise to that.
Yeah, I mean, people can pick it up really quickly. Maybe you can sort of fake it for a short while, but I mean, it's been so interesting in this industry to just see people come and go, and the people who stick are the ones who provide real value and have a real interest in essentially making the world a better place by providing their initial target audience with amazing information and tools to make their lives better. So those guys last, and the guys who are just out for the quick buck, maybe they make some good money initially, but then they disappear after a while, and you wonder to them.
Well, we've been around since 2000 with our businesses, so we're still here, we're still thriving, so we're doing something right, I guess.
Yeah.
So in terms of equipment, if somebody wants to get started with video, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I think people they get frightened that they need a cameraman, a studio, and all sorts of lighting.
No, but they probably understand that they need to get into video.
Absolutely, yeah. If it's something that if you're the kind of business where it's sort of a one-man band, or it's a small business and you don't have all that much resources, a great way to start is just to look at what you already have and to use that for starters, and build up your equipment and experience and knowledge over time as you go, because it's very much a learning process, this whole video thing, and you throw into that as well the mix that there are so many different applications of video as well, so many different kinds of videos as well. For example, we're doing this interview through Skype using our webcams, and it's perfect for this application, but we probably won't use this webcam if we want to record a live event, or even if we want a more professional looking video. It's just not appropriate. So that does make it a bit more complicated too. But what I'd suggest is that people just use whatever they've got and then build it up to whichever area they want to specialize in.
So I mean, when you say what they've got, the family camcorder or video call, or their iPhone or smartphone or whatever they got, just to get started, really.
Absolutely, and that might be good enough for your business, forever. Maybe not for every technology moves so much, but in the meantime, it might be just perfect. I guess I'll share some of the tools that I've been using and for the purposes that I've been using them for as well. I became a really big fan of DSLR cameras for creating video. I own a Canon 60D DSLR camera, and so I use them mainly for videos. I mean, I do sometimes take photos, but it's mainly sort of family photos that I use that for. But for the business, I use it for video, and you can create some really amazing videos with these cameras, and they're just getting better and better as well. The thing is, because you've got a good sensor and you can put good lenses on these cameras, you can get the equivalent sort of video quality as you might get with $100,000 to $300,000 type of professional video camera. Wow. Now these DSLR cameras, they come with their own drawbacks too. For example, quite a lot of them are limited in how long they can record for at a time. So, for example, the Canon 60D, just out of the box, can only record for about 12 minutes at a time, depending on the video quality size. It comes down to the video file size. So I think it's 4 gigabytes. So once it reaches 4 gigabytes, it just stops, which is at about 12 minutes at the highest quality. Now there are hacks that you can use, you can use Magic Lantern to hack into it and essentially reduce the bit rate. Gets a bit more technical, but then you can record for longer. But the other drawbacks with something like a DSLR camera is that it's not a video camera. It's not designed to be a video camera. So you know, when you're holding it, it's not as stable as a video camera, for example. So you need good stabilization, things like a tripod, and there's a bunch of other things. A whole industry that's been built around using your DSLR camera as a proper video camera as well. But you know, there are some drawbacks with using DSLR camera. So if you're willing to go through those sort of smaller struggles, then you can create some really, really amazing video. Something I've been playing around with more recently and I'm very, very excited about is using just your iPhone or your smartphone as your most regular video camera for even creating quite professional looking videos. My most recent video on my YouTube channel, I used my iPhone. It's just an iPhone 4. It's not even a 4S or a 5. And I used that for creating a white screen background type of video, and the quality that came out was amazing. I was amazed at the quality I could get. It was comparable to the kind of videos I can create with my DSLR camera when it comes to widescreen videos.
I love the widescreen videos that you do.
Yeah. That we'll include the link that you show where you show your studio and it's your garage. We love that.
Ours never come out as white as that. I'm really jealous.
No, but we'll include that link because I think people they'll look at your videos and they will think he's in some kind of professional studio, Hollywood or whatever, and you've got it sort of tacked up on the back of the garage with a couple of lights there. I mean, it's you haven't. I think the point is that people haven't got to go out and spend $20,000, pounds or whatever to get some sort of professional studio. You can do it with fairly freely available equipment that you can buy on on eBay or whatever it is. Even the lighting equipment.
Exactly. One more thing about cameras, and then we can move on to some lighting and sound as well, which is two very, very important aspects of video. Other than the iPhone, I guess something that looks attractive, but it can cause you a lot of issues. I think in the longer term is if you look at the current camcorders around on the market, they're great at recording video. When it comes to editing those videos, it can be quite a hassle because a lot of them, I haven't looked recently, but last time I looked, most of them recorded in a format that's called AVC HD format. Don't worry if you don't know what that means. I don't even know what it stands for, but basically what it means is that it's a great format for recording, but when you want to get it onto your computer, depending on what software you're using, it often converts that original file on your camera to something else that's editable. That's a word, I don't even know. On your computer, and often that file that's sitting on your computer just blows out in size. It becomes really, really big, and you get into all sorts of issues with managing those files and getting extra storage for saving those big files. And I had this exact issue when I was starting up. I had a really nice Handycam, but it recorded in that AVC HD format, and then getting the files on my computer just within a month, I filled up my hard drive, and I had to buy extra external hard drives, and within 3 months they were all filled up. So I thought, now there's got to be a better way. So when you're looking at creating regular videos and you don't have a good conversion tool to get those videos from a normal Handycam onto your computer, I'd suggest you look at cameras like the iPhone records in a great format already. It's not a crazy size. The DSLR cameras from Canon records in an MOV .H.264 format, which is perfect for both PC and Mac, and the file sizes are reasonable. So look at, just keep that in mind if you are looking for a new kind of a camera. So the next two things are cameras. Lighting and sound. Here's the thing: you can have a fairly average video camera, but if you have really great audio and lighting for that camera, that can increase the production quality of the video tremendously. And I used to use a flip video camera when I was starting out, and I just had really good lighting, and I had recorded the sound separately on a really good audio device. And when I put the whole thing together, it just looked and sounded amazing. You know, and people even thought I was using a very high-level professional video camera for that. But it's just because I had really good lighting and made the sound really good that it appeared so much better. And a good sort of way for you to sort of realize this is that if you perhaps you've watched a video on YouTube or anywhere else, and maybe the picture quality was pretty good, but for some reason the sound was terrible. You know, it's not long until you just click away and just stop the damn thing because it's so annoying. When it's the other way around, though, if you have pretty average video quality but the sound is amazing, you know, you keep watching, you don't mind so much. It points to the fact that, you know, the sound is extremely important for your video. And so I'd recommend you invest in some good sound equipment, some good microphones for your video camera, and also good lighting that goes with your video camera. I've got some good ones that I list on my site. There's a really cheap one from Audio Technica. It's a lavalier microphone that you can plug into your camera. That's the other thing to look for, by the way. And if you're looking at a
we've been there. We've been there, and we've suffered. You know, we've you know, trying to find a camera that's got a microphone jack in it. Yeah, so definitely one to watch out for.
That's right, and you know, not many of the consumer handycams have that anymore. They used to have them, and they've taken them out. A lot of the Canon ones do have them, like some of the Vixia range cameras have them. When you go more professional or prosumer cameras, they'll have them too. But just keep in mind that with the iPhone, you can plug external microphones in there as well, but you need a special cord for that. But yeah, very important. Get the sound right. There's an Audio Technica microphone, lavalier microphone. I currently use something a little bit more expensive. It's a what's it called again? Yeah, it's a Sony wireless microphone.
Yeah.
That was about $7, but I look back, it was totally worth it. It just gives you the freedom to move around. You've got a nice, high quality microphone that you can record sound straight into your camera with. The Sennheiser microphones are fantastic too, of course. But you know, as I said, just start with what you've got. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You can use that Audio Technica microphone. It's got a 4-meter cord with it for starters, just to get better sound, and then build from there.
Yeah.
And for the lighting, you know, if you don't have any lights, you know, if you're recording inside, perhaps you can make use of natural sunlight coming into the room. Don't let it shine directly on you, but you know, get a room that's brightly lit in that way. Another great place to record is in shade outside. Sunshine is a little bit more tricky, but in the shade is fine. Overcast days are actually really good for recording, as long as it's not fully overcast. I'm not sure what it's like in the UK though. It might be.
So I think that goes into the
plenty of overcast.
You know, test different scenarios, but ultimately, if you can get a good lighting kit, that can certainly improve the quality of your videos. I mean, some people I've seen just even use normal lamps inside their house, or you know, these cheap energy-saving lights, the white fluorescent ones with looks like a pig's tail lights. They work really well too. But you know, just watch out for getting the subject that you're recording overexposed. If you get an overexposure, it looks not so great. So you can think about maybe bouncing the light off another wall or the ceiling, so it's not such a sharp light on whatever you're recording. Those are probably some of the general guidelines I think about when it comes to lighting. So there you go. You've got the cameras, you've got sound, you've got lighting. You're ready to rock. The next thing is really just thinking about your content in a clever way, and making sure that it's appealing for your target audience to watch and share.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've got our equipment. We're up and running. We're rolling. We're capturing our videos. What about editing them? You know, software, that type of thing. What would you recommend? What do you use? And is it hard? Is it a difficult process to actually you know, to start doing that?
You know, I've actually gone full circle. I started off with some very simple software solutions, went to the most complicated software that you can find on the Mac, I believe, which is, goodness, I've forgotten the name because I haven't used it for so long.
Is it not? Oh,
So is it iMovie or?
iMovie, yeah, well, it just shows how long since I've used it, but
if it comes back to you, just shout it out to us.
Final Cut, of course. Final Cut.
Right. Yeah.
I used Final Cut, which is a professional editing suite that you can create, Hollywood production movies on. But I've actually gone back and simplified it because you can, there's some software out there that you can do amazing video editing with, and at a fraction of the cost and at the fraction of the complications. The software that I use mainly whenever I do editing myself is called ScreenFlow.
Okay.
And it's actually screen recording software, but I use it for editing videos from my iPhone, from a DSLR camera. You just click and drag stuff in there, and it's just beautiful. It just works really, really well. And it exports to a really nice format automatically that you can just upload to YouTube. That looks fantastic. So that's on Mac. On PC, the software. I haven't been on PC for so long, but the software that I've been recommending is just the entry level Sony Vegas. I think it's called Sony Vegas Studio. It's about $40 or $50. That does a fantastic job as well. On my website, there's one particular thing you got to get right, and that's the export settings. Or rendering settings, get it into a good format that's small enough and still high quality enough to upload it to YouTube. There are other programs as well. Sony Vegas I found was simple enough but also flexible enough still to create nice looking videos. The free ones on PC is Windows Movie Maker. Last time I used it, it was just too restrictive. It was easy, but it's just too restrictive. You can't do multiple audio tracks if you wanted to, or multiple video tracks if you wanted to, and that's a real restriction. That's real pain. And similarly for iMovie on Mac, it's really easy for just those quick videos, but as soon as you want to have another video track or audio track in there, it's like, oh, you can't do it. So using something like ScreenFlow on Mac or Sony Vegas on PC, it just gives you that extra flexibility, which can help you create much better looking videos, and it's not gonna break your brain. It's very quickly to learn those programs. I think if you're going to do this yourself or someone in your business, and you do want to have amazing videos that are amazingly edited, I'd seriously think about outsourcing that. All my videos, unless I'm in a hurry or I just want to quickly do it myself, I just do it on ScreenFlow. But if I want to get a good job done, which is for my more professional stuff, I have a dedicated team in the Philippines that take care of that. They do all my video editing for me. If that is too difficult to find someone in the Philippines or to manage the process, you can use someone locally if you've got the funds. Get a professional to do it. If the budget is an issue, then another really good tip is to approach a video production school and ask if you could offer some work experience for the students there, and pay them something equivalent to what they might be getting, a little bit more compared to what they might be getting at the pizza shop. They jump to the opportunity. In fact, I've used that. I used that on my original video blogging launch. I had a student that did the work for me. He was $20 an hour, and he did a fantastic job.
People might be surprised to hear that, but I bet that these guys would be really pleased to have a subject to work with it. They can put it on their portfolio. It might count towards their grades. It's a really good idea.
So if they prefer that working in the pizza shop, seriously, or at McDonald's, to get that extra bit of money coming. So absolutely, that's a wonderful source, and these the way to do it is just to make sure you get in touch with the right person in the school, and work through them. So you send your little ad or offer or whatever it is, job description to them, and they distribute it to the students for you, and then the students get in touch with you afterwards. That's what I did, and I had like 7 people apply. So it was great. sort of pick and choose the one that I thought was best. And yeah, so it worked out great. So if you want to use someone locally, which definitely has its advantages, especially for the camera work as well. And then the editing, of course, it can really save you a lot of hassle.
Excellent. Good points. Very good. Okay. So what about, let's think now. What about things like screen capture? Have you, do you use that at all? I think the advantage of screen capture for some people is that they might find that it means they haven't got to sort of physically appear on screen. Their voice can appear, and maybe that's a good way to sort of introduce yourself to making videos.
Yeah, that's probably, if not the easiest, one of the easiest ways to create video online. It's just to use screen capture software like ScreenFlow on Mac or Camtasia on PC, and perhaps you have a nice presentation that you have on PowerPoint or Keynote, or even if you just want to show someone how to do something on your screen. Great, fantastic ways to create video content. Just make sure you've got a good microphone. I use a Rode podcaster mic. This it's a bit more professional. Plugs into your USB port. There's the Snowball mics that you can do the same thing with, and probably a range of other ones too. I've had this one for quite a few years now, so it's probably updated once compared to this. But just make sure you get the audio great. The other thing to keep in mind also is you have to do something a little bit extra to try and keep people's attention in videos, because there's no personal connection there that you're having with them. And there's many things you can do to do that. Create perhaps mystery, inside your video, especially at the beginning. Create these little open loops where you might say, I'm about to reveal something really amazing that's going to change your life forever. But first, let's look at this. And then you open the loop to get people to keep watching. There's lots of little things you can do like that to help people keep watching your videos. And in fact, that's something really important for YouTube. YouTube looks at how engaged people are throughout your whole video, and how many of them actually watch your video right through, how many of them leave, how many of them like your video while they're watching your video, or share it while they're watching your video. All those sort of things are important. And so you've got to think a little bit about how you put together your content for your video, so that you keep people engaged and keep them watching as long as possible, and get them to interact with you as much as possible.
Excellent.
Have you got any tips about how to speak in front of the camera?
Yeah, that's always a real...
You're very natural in front of the camera. Are there any tips?
Yeah, because I think people somewhere, if you're just reading something, then it really sounds like it. How do you sort of get it to sound natural and conversational? What's the trick?
I've used teleprompter probably for one video. So out of all the hundreds of videos that I've created, perhaps even thousands, I don't know, I've lost count. I mean, that worked well, but it was very difficult to get right, and like you say, to make it sound natural. Some people are very good with teleprompters, and they just naturally get the hang of it really quickly, and I kind of almost need that to be able to speak properly on video. What's worked really well for me though is to just speak naturally, like we're talking now. And sure, there are ums and ahs and whatever else, but it's, I think that's what's the cool thing is about video on YouTube is that it's about conversation, it's about connection, and building that connection with other real people. And so when it's like a robot, you're not going to make that connection with people. They want to see that it's the real you. But some things you can do to help you along the way is what I often use is I might either have an outline or a mind map of the things that I want to talk about. So I'll create that beforehand. So I'm quite clear about what I want to talk about beforehand, and then I'd either have the mind map close to the lens of my camera so that I can just easily refer back to it without people noticing. But more recently, I haven't even bothered with that. I just have the notes in front of me, and even let people obviously see that, and even might prefer to look. I'm going to look at my notes here and talk to you. What's the big deal? There's no big deal about that. And as long as they know what you're doing, as long as you're not reading it off and just looking at your notes all the time, that's fine. No problem. Referring back to notes, like I'm going to, next up I'm going to talk about this point here. And that just kind of reminds you and what to talk about and gives a bit more structure to your talk. And I've done that many times where it's even more formal videos where I just have the notes in front of me. It's just a prompt to remind me of the things that I want to talk about inside the video. That works really well. So it gives you sort of an in-between between a teleprompter and just speaking off the cuff. What else was I going to say?
I mean, sorry, I was going to say, I find a really good little trick that I've found is, and Pilly sort of introduced this to me. She said to me, "You sound really stiff. You really sound like you're reading it. Why don't you just imagine that you're telling your best friend, telling Matt about it?" So I imagine that I've got my friend there, and I'm just sort of explaining it to him. He's just sort of behind the camera, as it were, and I find that works quite well. But it's really, really difficult to sort of overcome that that sort of stiff sound in your voice.